Starting your day off with a take on Vegas you won't get anywhere else.
Hi, I'm Holly Madison, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and I listen to Brian Shapiro. Why? Because I'm a good American. So is he. And if you don't listen to him, you need to pack up and leave this country.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Welcome all again!
What's up, everybody? Your buddies are back. That's right, we're back in studio. Sharp and Shapiro, the Vegas Take. I feel like Eddie Murphy in Coming to America when he says, I'm so happy to be here. I'm sorry, I can't really do his accent, but I really am. It's good to be back in studio,
That was
JD.
a really terrible accent.
I know it was horrible. It only took you 20 seconds to insult me, but that's okay. That's fine. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad we're both here, actually. It's good to be back in studio. First of all, let me thank Chris Wynn, Ron Futrell, and Dennis Silvers, who did a fantastic job filling in for us. We were I think our listeners deserve to know where we were. We weren't partying at a strip club or anything like that. We were actually, although that would have been fun as well, we were actually at the West Coast Conference Tournament. It's not every day you get to watch the number one basketball team in the country, and it's not every day you get to see them get wamboozled and destroyed. So we'll get into that in hour number 2 with Jamison Welsh from Drive Time Sports. Also, we need to talk a little bit about UNLV hoops. They play San Diego State tomorrow in the quarterfinals at 2:30 p.m. So Jamison from Drive Time Sports will be joining us in hour 2 to talk about that.
And UNLV is favored in that game tomorrow?
Oh, it's like a pick 'em. They're favored by 1, but we'll talk about that in hour number 2. But I'm sure you have some opinions on that, as do I. Oh, my God, do we have a lot to get into, including Tucker Carlson calling women the C word on a radio show, going absolutely berserk and trying to capitalize off it with ratings. He is just an absolute scumbag. We will get to that coming up here in just a little bit, but I got to start with this crazy college admissions scandal. I've been chomping at the bits. I've been wanting to talk a lot about this. It is nuts. It is crazy. Actress Lori Laughlin was released today, JD, on $1 million bond after appearing in federal court. There are a few other celebrities that are involved as well. I mean, this is just incredible. It is absolutely unbelievably incredible. And I got so angry when I heard about her daughter, because apparently her daughter, Olivia, is a YouTube star. I don't even know how she became one. To me, she's famous for nothing other than the fact that her parents are famous. But I want to play a little bit of audio. Keep in mind, this is Olivia Jade Ganelli, okay? The daughter whose parents paid 7 figures for her to get into college. And this is a video she posted, JD, before attending USC. Let's play this video.
I don't know how much of school I'm going to attend, but I'm going to go in and talk to my deans and everyone and hope that I can try and balance it all. But I do want the experience of, like, game days, partying. I don't really care about school.
This is the idiot who's, yes, I'm going to call her an idiot, okay?
Wait.
If you're 17 or 18 years old and your parents are spending all this money cheating, trying to get you into school, and you post a YouTube video saying that you don't care about classes, all you care about is partying, you are an idiot. What is your first reaction when you hear that audio?
Well, first of all, so they paid $1 million plus to get her into USC. Not Harvard, not Yale, not Princeton, USC.
I actually think it was $500,000, but there are other people involved in these indictments that spent a lot more than they did. It goes from $15,000 to like $6 million. I mean, it's insane. You have coaches involved. You have athletic directors involved. You have, all sorts of different people involved and linked to one guy who was making a lot of money doing this. They're all going to jail.
I just feel like USC was kind of they could have shot a little higher.
I suppose.
Oxford, but USC.
This is what gets me angry, though, and I want to relate this to affirmative action and Jared Kushner. Let me explain. First of all, I've never been a fan of affirmative action. I believe it shouldn't matter what color your skin is. I believe it should all be about the grades you get, the extracurricular activities, and everything like that. But
I will tell you this. I was a victim of affirmative action. I wanted to go to Pepperdine, and I was turned down because of affirmative action right out of high school.
Good for you.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep, pretty exciting stuff.
So I bring up affirmative action because I want everyone to be on an equal playing field. And obviously, if you're a parent that has a lot of money and you're trying to cheat, this is horrible. But this also relates to Jared Kushner. Let me explain. Okay, Jared Kushner did not even get close to good enough grades to get into Harvard. I've talked about this before. Not even close. So what does his father do? His father donates $2.5 million to Harvard University. All of a sudden, Harvard says, oh, yeah, sure, come on, Jared. Welcome you with open arms. Now, even though that's not against the law, it is crap. It is BS. It is nonsense, to say the least. Jared Kushner had no business going to Harvard. None.
So what separates that from this situation that just happened?
Well, not a lot, to be honest with you. Not a lot.
One's formal and one's informal, or basically under the table, 100%.
My understanding, as far as this scandal is concerned, is that they fixed photos of their daughter like rowing. They paid this guy to fix photos of them playing soccer when they never even played the sport in their life. So the fix was in with faked photographs and fake SAT scores.
It was all fraudulent.
Yes, everything was fraud. The grades, the SAT scores,
kind of like the guy who ran the Fire Festival, Billy McFarland.
Yes.
Okay, I see. So
that's the distinction here, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is there's really not that big of a distinction when you look at what Jared Kushner's father did, which I think is a disgrace that there are people out there, and this happens all the time, and I hope these dumb parents go to jail. They think, first of all, many of these kids, these rich, privileged kids, you heard what Olivia said. It just makes me want to vomit, okay? First of all, these kids don't even want to go to college. All they want to do is party and get drunk, okay? And secondly, what kind of parent are you? What kind of individual are you to cheat your kids into school? How do you expect they're going to turn out later in life? Well, my parents paid blah, 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 $1.5 million and faked that I was on the rowing team, so that's how I got into USC. I mean, what kind of parent does something like this?
Here's a question for you. Did Donald Trump's dad donate any money to Wharton?
That I don't know. What I do know is that Jared Kushner's father gave $2.5 million to Harvard, where that nitwit had no bearing even walking on that campus, let alone going to school there. It is a joke, and this stuff needs to stop. College, it is just, to me, it's just nonsense with these admissions people, and I guarantee you this has been going on for decades and decades, and I am so glad that these nimrods got caught, and I hope everybody gets caught doing this. It is a joke. It is very simple to me. It is about what grades you get, not cheating, not SAT scores cheating. What are your grades? What are your SAT scores? And what are your extracurricular activities? I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care about your family background. I don't care about how much money your family has. Don't care if they're celebrities. Don't care if you're a celebrity. It should be based on that and that alone.
And what's that called? Merit.
Yeah.
Merit.
Yeah. I mean, what do you guys think out there? Do you think that are you okay with Jared Kushner's father? And I know he didn't break the law, so don't call in and say, well, Jared's father, he didn't do anything right. He didn't break the law. That's not my point. My point is, are you okay with these rich people giving millions of dollars to a school so their kid could get into the university and, when their grades are probably not good enough? Certainly Jared Kushner's grades are not good enough. Are you guys okay with that? And I know, it's not online to this scandal, but I want to take your phone calls now and ask you about that. What do you think about that? What do you think about this college admissions scandal? What should these parents get as far as jail time, if any? And what do you think about Jared Kushner's dad? Because there are thousands and thousands of people, just like Kushner's father, that donate a lot of money to universities when the grades just don't add up. I'll give out the number, be part of the conversation. One of the most interactive shows here in Vegas, and we always are glad to take your calls at 257-5396. Again, that number to call if you do want to be a part of the program. We have a few phone lines open. 257-5396 is the number to call. And let's start off with Seth. Seth, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Seth?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good. What's on your mind?
So do we know Jared Kushner's grades or SAT scores?
What I learned, and what many members of the media learned, is that his grades were not up to the standards of Harvard. And neither were his SAT scores. Do I have the exact numbers right in front of me? No. But according to all reports, including Fox News, by the way, that reported on this, that his grades alone would never have gotten him into Harvard. Those are people on the right that are admitting that.
All right. What about David Hogg getting into Harvard? The guy didn't even get into UC Irvine, and all of a sudden he gets into Harvard?
Okay, so what do you want me to say? Two wrongs don't make a right. If he didn't get the correct grades to get into Harvard, then I don't think he should be in Harvard either. Is that what you want me to say? What does that have to do with it?
But I've never heard you say that, and that was.
I think that's probably different. I'm sure that Harvard took him because it was more of a PR move for them.
Yeah, but that's just as outrageous.
No, I mean,
if they're getting paid under the table to do so, it is. But if they choose to set aside their standards because this guy has a reputation or he makes university look good in their eyes, and that's on them. Yeah, that's totally separate.
I'm going to tell you
than
right
this
now,
situation.
if David Hogg sat down across from Jared Kushner and they both took the SATs right now, I guarantee you Hogg would do better than Kushner. I guarantee you, Seth, 150%. Hogg
he
has
would.
twice the IQ of Jared
But
Kushner.
you can't fault the university for liking David Hogg and giving him.
Better than Hogg.
You know what I mean?
That SAT score thing was dumb comment because obviously somebody that age who's just graduating high school is going to have better SAT.
Okay, no, I don't think it's a dumb comment. I'm just saying that I think Hogg is much more intelligent than Jared Kushner, who I think is a complete
right.
Nimrod.
I definitely forgotten all
Okay,
my
name me
algebra.
one thing that Jared Kushner did in his life that you say, wow, I can't believe he did that. I'll tell you what he did, Seth. He took over that stupid magazine publication, lost tons of money. Then he took over that billion-dollar building in Manhattan, lost tons of money. The guy is a screw-up. He hasn't done anything. He's a trust fund baby. Give me one thing that he has done in his life.
Israeli embassy.
Excuse me?
The embassy in Israel.
What did he do before he took the job under Donald Trump? What has he done in his life?
Oh, before? I don't know.
You don't know anything. And how does he get that job? How the hell does he get that job? You can't name one good thing
I'll
he's
tell you
done
what
in his
he did.
life.
He married Donald Trump's daughter and had a bunch of kids with her.
Yeah, I'll give him credit for that. That's about the only
That
thing
was
I'm going to give
actually
him
a
credit
very,
for.
very intelligent move
You know,
by
I
him.
just don't understand it. People call it, what about golf? What about golf? Why can't you just focus on what I'm talking about? God, 257-5396, the number to call. Again, 257-5396. Go to Cameron. Cameron, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Cameron?
Yeah. Hi, this is first-time caller. If you were Jared Kushner's father, and had that much money, wouldn't you do the exact same thing
No.
for your kid?
No, I wouldn't. You know why, Cameron? And that's a fair question. You know why I wouldn't do that? I would say, look, son, let's look at your grades. Let's look at your extracurriculars. Let's see where you can get into it because that's where you earned. That's how you earn getting into school. Not by me saying, here you go, here's $2 or $3 million. Hopefully that'll change your mind about my son. No, because to me, that's cheating.
Well, and at that
I
point,
don't see that as cheating. I'd do the same thing if I had the money, but
But your
I actually have kids in school, and they're
yeah.
I can't get them into really good schools. I just get them into whatever schools they can apply for.
So you're saying you'd be, and this is interesting to hear this point of view, Cameron, because I guess we would disagree on this, but you're saying if your kid didn't have good enough grades, hypothetically, to get into a Harvard, and you were a billionaire, and you knew that if you donated $2 or $3 million, they would get in, you would feel okay with that?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Well, let me ask you this then. Do you realize that if your kid gets in, there is another kid there with better grades than your kid that doesn't have the financial means that will not get in? What would you say to that family and those parents?
You know, they can do. You have the money.
So it's all about money then. It shouldn't be about grades, hard work, extracurriculars. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
All right. Well, Cameron, we could not disagree with you more, but I appreciate your honesty at least.
Yeah.
I don't think many people would agree with you there, but
Thanks for the call, Cameron.
yeah, I appreciate the call. I'm just wow, that's shocking. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Jay, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Pretty good. Just getting off work, chilling the rest of my day.
Cool. What's going on, Jay? What's on your mind?
So I had my belief on the thing is that it should be somewhat illegal along the lines of falsifying documents because, I mean, if you can buy your way into school, you might as well be able to buy a license, and that's to give credentials to someone who doesn't have the work ethic or the knowledge necessary to perform a job, like, say, being a doctor or a lawyer. So should it be punishable? I feel like it should.
Yeah.
I feel like it should be on both parties, not just the billionaire family that's paying their child in the school, but also the school that's accepting.
That is a good point. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, my question is to you: is who would say if it did become illegal, as I feel like it should?
Right.
Who do you feel should be more responsible, the school for accepting the money and the student?
I would say that's a very good question, Jay, and that is a tough one for me to answer. Obviously, the family needs to be held responsible, but I would actually go a step further, Jay, and I don't know if you agree or not. I would say the people at the university should probably be charged with just as much, if not more.
Well, because at that point, it's kind of false advertisement,
right?
If they're held to that high of a standard, and someone who doesn't meet that standard is allowed to attend over somebody who does meet that standard, I mean, to me that's false advertising.
Let me put it this way:
and when Kushner's dad or when somebody drops $2.5 or $3 million to get their kid somewhere, it's more about the parent than it is the kid at that point, because they're worried about looking good to their friends or to their debutantes or whatever it is.
It's just like a parent at an AAU basketball game screaming, hooting, and hollering, acting like a buffoon, trying to live through their kids. I totally, right, JD? It's
you're the ref. You know that.
That's just like the weakest of moves.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people going to school for years, getting these grades, and then you just bought your way in. I don't know. That should be illegal.
It's Jay, I appreciate the call. That's a really good question.
Awesome call, Jay.
Yeah, and you know what? The guy who just called up before Jay, it's amazing, but there are people out there that feel that way because you have money. I don't know. It's unreal.
So what's your answer? Just get more money.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. What would you say to that
enough.
family? Hey, screw you guys. You don't have the money that I have. My kid's getting in, and even though your kid's smarter than mine. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. 257-5396, the number to call. Beth, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Doing good, Beth.
Hey, Beth.
What's on your mind?
Well, I agree with you partly, but as a mom of boys that have played D1 sports, it's very competitive. I feel that and I'm from Southern California, what the parents did here, and just remember, they've only named 50, and Singer said he received money from 750 people.
Which is
so
incredible.
There's a lot more people that's going to come down.
Oh, absolutely. Yep, I agree.
What I find so egregious is that they already have the money to provide for their kids where they didn't have to cheat, but it's the cheating and the frauding.
Right.
Not only that, they made tax deduction, or they'll claim them, they probably did already, as tax deductions on a fraudulent
charity.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. Yep.
They've done
and that is a big deal
right there.
Yeah.
As far as Jared Kushner or whomever, JFK, Rockefeller.
Right.
As someone who went to a prestigious school, that is I hate to say it, that's part of life. Those are called connections. If you wanted to be a CAA, if you had connections and you had a child that wanted to work at CAA, believe me, you could not go and work at CAA tomorrow unless you knew somebody. That's just how it works.
And you're right, Beth, you're right. Part of life is...
You're saying CAA Creative Artist Agency?
Oh, you can't, even
the
when
talent
you come
firm?
out of college, you better know somebody, have great grades, and you're starting in the mailroom.
That's totally true.
But
I know that for a fact.
Beth,
I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying when someone has a legacy and they donate, $20 million to Vanderbilt,
right?
Their kid's going.
Beth,
it also helps to be to practice a specific religion in the talent industry, especially in California.
Beth, I do not disagree with you, and she makes some very valid points there. She's right. It still doesn't make it right. I respect her saying that. Right. But again, we're not talking about getting a job. We're not talking about getting an in to make a paycheck. We're talking about education. Right. I think there is a huge separation there between the two.
And knowing a chancellor saying, okay, fine, no, this kid can get in, but is different than donating X amount of dollars or paying somebody out under the table. That's totally separate.
I agree.
But I do agree that connections play a part of it.
By the way, we are supposed to get 3 more phone lines. So if you've been calling in and the line has been busy because our lines have been full pretty much since we started the show, I promise you we're supposed to get extra phone lines tomorrow. Keep calling in, but we will be getting extra phone lines. So thank you for that. Keep trying at 257-5396. Let's go to Fernando. Fernando, thanks for calling in. How are you?
What's up, Fernando?
Hey, Fast. I'm doing okay. In the early 2000s, UCLA did the same thing where their admissions department was letting in friends and family, and they were all white. So that was kind of unfair to everybody else.
Yeah, Fernando, I think this has been going on forever. I really do.
Right. And wouldn't it be cheaper just to enroll your student in the college and just pay tuition? If you can't make the grades for a scholarship or something like that, or get a legacy scholarship.
Fernando, you would think so, but the problem with that is you can't get into certain schools if the grades aren't good enough. See, that's the issue, Fernando. That's what we're talking about here.
What is USC's in-state tuition? It can't be more than $50K a year.
I guarantee you that Olivia's grades
they had to have been just atrocious.
They were not good enough to get in. She sounds like a ditz, with all due respect. She's 17-year-old, 18-year-old girl. She sounds like a moron. She's a YouTube star. She's a future Kim Kardashian or Paris Hilton. I don't find her to be a very intelligent person, Fernando, so I doubt that USC would have had her get in and many of these other kids, if not, for their cheating parents.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Thank you, Fernando.
Thanks, Fernando.
Always good to hear from you. Let's go to Marge. Marge is next. Marge, thank you for calling into the Vegas Take. How are you?
Fine. Welcome back. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
they let you out of the closet from what they were saying yesterday.
Marge, I need a vacation once in a while. So I heard
we got one meal over 2 days, but it was a good meal.
Marge, I heard a rumor that Ron Futrell did our show yesterday. He said me and JD were locked up in the closet.
That's exactly what he said.
That's okay. He let us out, Marge. Go ahead, Marge. What's on your mind?
I think a couple of points here is, number one, I kind of wonder about the standards of the university and how they're going to be ranked now that this came to light, given how bad it might go to.
Right.
Yeah, I would actually rank other universities that weren't caught doing this over those that were. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Olivia, of course, they paid, supposedly it was reported, $500,000
yep.
for her to get in.
Yep. They said she was a rower, and they had fake pictures of her rowing when she's never done that in her life. It's just a disgrace.
That's what I heard. But, the whole thing, too, is it's the moral fiber of these kids and how are the parents actually training, their children and what to do in life, because this certainly is a very bad example for them.
What are you teaching your kids? Kid, everything is on sale. Everything is for sale.
Yeah. You know what, Marge? Because I've been a basketball official part-time for 20 years. I see it at a smaller, I guess it's the analogy that I see it as. You get an idiot parent that is watching their kid play basketball, 9, 10-year-old kid. They're screaming and hollering at the refs, swearing, acting like buffoons. To me, it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. You're trying to live through your parents, acting like a fool, only in this instance, it's obviously at a higher scale and there's a lot of money involved. But I think it comes down to parents being irresponsible and wanting to cheat their kids' way through life.
Yeah, and it's the same thing like, even in kindergarten, they get an award for just showing up to school.
Yeah, no, I agree. Marge, good call. Always appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Good to hear from you. Thank you very much. Let's try to squeeze in one more call. We are out of the closet. Wow, that sounded really bad. That's not what I meant. But anyway, I guess Ron Futrell kind of put us on a watch in a closet, if that makes sense. I don't know. But we're back. Sandy, thanks for calling in. How are you?
I'm fine. Who's to say that Trump's youngest daughter, I can't remember what her name was.
Tiffany.
Who's to say that he didn't pay for her to go? I believe she's at Pepperdine or Georgetown.
Right.
How do we know that her grades aren't in the toilet as well?
Yeah, that's a good point.
We don't know that, but I've actually watched her speak. She's pretty eloquent. She's pretty intelligent. She definitely handles. I would not be surprised if she has good grades.
She's been
groomed.
She has been groomed.
Person.
I agree.
Yeah,
she's been groomed. That does not make her very intelligent.
I agree, Sandy. That's a valid point. Look, would we all be shocked, Sandy, to find out that Donald Trump did that? Would we be shocked? No, it wouldn't shock me at all.
They're scrubbing the records right now to make sure that her SATs are where they want them to be. Mm-hmm. And that there's no proof that he would have done something like that. And here we've got another child, and I don't mean to throw his kids under the bus like that, meaning the young son, but they're a product of their environment.
I agree, Sandy.
Is it a coincidence that a week and a half after they bring up his SAT scores that this happens? Absolutely not. Absolutely
you know what?
Not.
I think, Sandy, we all could agree on one thing. Jared Kushner is a buffoon, and he had no business getting into Harvard. Can we agree on that?
Well, yes, and I'll, the grandchildren coming up, it's, again, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. These kids are nothing more than a product of their environment, and they're being groomed for manipulation and idiocy and bigotry.
Yeah, I agree, Sandy. Really good call. Couldn't agree more, and this stuff needs to stop. I am so happy that we're catching these idiot parents, these cheaters. You know what? Maybe William H. Macy, maybe some of these people will be behind bars. I hope they do if they were involved. We got a few more callers on the line. We will take more calls when we come back on this issue. Also want to talk a little bit about scumbag Tucker Carlson. Yeah, we'll get to his comments coming up, too. The number to call if you want to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Again, that number to call is 702-257-5396. Few people on hold. I promise I'll get to your calls when we come back. You're listening to The Vegas Take.